Welcome to day 103 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of December 2002, which was The Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
Two toes.
Two Toes.
Yeah, this is.
I was very close to calling it Two Toes, but yeah, this is the Two Toes movie. If anyone said.
If you don't know, the guy who plays Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen, there's a scene where he kicks a helmet, and when they were filming that actually broke his toes, and yeah.
The scream is real.
Yeah, the scream that he says after that is real, because that's him yelling in pain because he broke his toes. So yeah.
I did kind of notice that in the following shots, I don't know if they did this afterwards, but he was kind of limping.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice, but
It could have just been the shaky camera too, but I was like, did they actually not stop rolling?
I doubt they would have kept rolling.
Yeah, I'm just like, Aragorn really is like the MVP.
I will say, we had to watch the theatrical cut for this one, not the extended version, because I couldn't find it.
Do you know what's in the extended version?
I don't. The thing is, I know for Return of the King, there's a very important scene that is only in the extended version.
Oh,
It's one of those things where you're like, why the hell did they cut this? Because it's super important. So I will have to make sure I get an extended cut version for that, because that's, really important. For this, I legitimately don't know if there's anything really important that we missed. I mean, it didn't feel like it.
Yeah,
You know, it felt...
pretty well done.
Yeah, it felt like we weren't missing anything, so I don't know.
And the cuts were good. There was only one cut that I thought was awkward, which is when we switched from Merry and Pippin straight to Frodo and Sammy.
Oh yeah.
Where they were climbing up the mountain, but the other guys were in the forest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only awkward cut that I could see, but everything else was pretty well done. And considering it's a 3-hour long movie,
Yeah.
one awkward cut is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I did feel like this was a bit harder to follow.
Yeah.
There were a lot of storylines.
Because, there was 3 different storylines happening. And, one of them for a long time, it feels like, well, actually, honestly, kind of all of them, at least for a while, you feel like you're what's important about this?
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, it's for example, all of a sudden they introduce, this Kingdom of Rohan, and you're like, okay, why do I care? And then it's
The trees.
yeah, it's okay, I mean, they're cool, but, why do I care, right? And then, the, what's it? I guess, well, I mean, Frodo and Sam's stuff is fine, except it's really not that much of a focus. But then also, again, the stuff with the Boromir's brother at the end, that kind of felt, unnecessary?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's not bad by any means. And again, a lot of the stuff you understand later, you see how it comes together, you see why it is important, but at least in the early on, you're just kind of what is happening? And it's kind of hard to follow in that regard.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, if that's any kind of criticism, I guess that's something. And, maybe that's something the extended cut helps. There's no, amazing scene you need to see, but maybe it kind of
Ties it together a
ties it
little
in.
bit.
Yeah,
I don't...
makes
Yeah.
it flow better.
I don't know. It's not bad by any means. It's just this little thing where I was but I do feel that's kind of something that happens a lot with second movies and trilogies, because the first one's all about setting things up, right? And the third one's the big climax. So it's the second one's kind of this weird middle ground where it's you have to have your own self-contained story, but you can't start over.
Yeah.
And you can't finish. So what the main thing the reason that they do is they basically introduce new things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well, but there's kind of too many new things that we don't really have context for at first, so it's kind of but
It's kind of how in Harry Potter you mentioned the fact that what they did well is that they concentrated on introducing all the characters in the first movie. In the second movie, they kind of just built off of that, even though there's a whole new storyline and everything.
Well, dude, that's the thing, though. The second movie
Yeah.
for the Harry Potter stuff, it's very much like this is its own story,
Yeah.
right? Whereas this,
It's like, hey, you remember these guys?
Yeah.
They're doing something new now.
But
yeah, it's
the
a very
difference, I guess,
self-contained story.
Yeah, because the first Harry Potter movie was like the first year, and then the
Mhm.
second one was the second year. Here,
Mhm.
it's kind of just like a continuation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they didn't even have a time to pause, because when we see Harry in the second one, it's like at the end of his summer break.
Mm-hmm.
But here, it's literally like maybe a few nights, or I think Grimley mentioned like 4 days or something
Oh
in the
yeah.
beginning of the film. So
That's
there's
not
only
bad.
4 days that passed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even harder in that sense
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. But I mean, again, besides that, and it makes sense in terms of like what they're
Yeah.
going for and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's not like anything that's really surprising. If anything,
Yeah.
the movie did do a decent job of actually like again something that I feel like a lot of second movies kind of don't do that well, where it's like it feels like there was an end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There is a climax, there's a resolution to the climax. It felt like things progressed.
Yeah.
You know, that felt like it was a good ending, but still, again, leading into, you know, there's very obviously what's going to happen in the final movie.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I feel like everyone always says, oh, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, but I feel like it kind of falls under those issues where it's like the plot seems a little bit kind of disjointed,
Yeah.
and
it's a little bit
also
weird.
it doesn't really feel like anything was accomplished. So it's kind of a similar thing where it's just like, eh. But I think, if anything, I think this does it better than
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back did. And I will say, like, the effects for the first one are, you know, in terms of the effect quality, it's still as good as it has been. But I feel like the scale and like what they did with it is even better here.
Yeah, like with the talking trees and stuff.
And then the army.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Helm's Deep battle is really impressive.
Yeah.
And yeah, the ends look really cool, and I don't know, there's just a bunch of like larger scale things that really kind of show off like, oh damn, this is really impressive. And then even then, like, you know, just Gollum, you know,
Yeah.
he's entirely CGI, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and to
Oh.
think about, you know, that this was made and it was released in 2002. You know, that's 16 years ago as of recording
Yeah.
this, and
Still really good.
And
Yeah.
it helped really well.
yeah, so just kind of knowing that, it's just like, damn, this is really impressive. So that's all still good. I mean, you know, soundtrack is the same, so it's good. There's nothing really much to add with that. I do like there's a little bit more characterization with some of the other more minor characters.
Oh yeah, like
Uh,
Gimli.
Yeah,
Gimli especially.
Gimli, mostly Gimli. A little bit more of Legolas, but still not a ton. I feel like I could use more of him.
Do we get him in third movie, perhaps?
He's there. I don't remember really specific character interactions in the third movie. I just basically remember some set pieces in the third movie, not really the character interactions.
Mm.
But yeah, I do know. Oh, what is it? The only thing that I'm kind of like iffy on, and the thing is, I know this comes back in the third movie, but I don't remember how exactly. Is I am kind of iffy on like the stuff with Arwen.
Oh yeah.
Remember who that is?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, you know, oh, it's just to choose between like, you know, being immortal or like staying to be with, you know, Aragorn, who's gonna die anyway, and it's kind of like, okay, but why is this relevant?
Yeah.
And again, I know,
Especially in this very moment.
yeah, like I know
It's so
there's
important.
something about it in the third movie, but again, I don't really know what it is, and from what I do vaguely remember, it's also something that doesn't make that much sense. So it's just kind of like, yeah, especially now, it's like, why was this talked about now? There's like no reason to bring this up now. It's kind of weird.
A little bit random.
Yeah.
But
Maybe just keeping tabs on the one romance that there is.
I guess, I don't know. At the same time, though, I feel like it's totally unneeded. So
Maybe there was more in the extended version.
yeah, well, but again, is that something that you would want to see more of in the extended version?
More of her crying and talking to her awkward dad.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Just him with the long hair. I'm just like, no.
If anything, he looks like he's like kind of evil still.
He still looks
Yeah.
evil.
So it's just kind of weird.
Eyebrows.
It's like I always expect him to like actually secretly be like a traitor, and it's like I mean, I guess kind of spoiler, but he's not. So it's like, it's just weird that like that's how it is. But
He's just typecasted forever as like Mr. Smith.
yeah, so I don't know. I feel like for such a long movie, I feel like I don't have that much to say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's engaging and you
Yeah.
get into it. Sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, but it's not that bad.
No, I still like this movie quite a bit. I do personally. I like the first a little bit more.
I think the first
But-
one had its own charm to it.
Mhm.
It was a bit more cohesive as a story.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
the main thing. But again, definitely some very impressive moments in this. Not saying this is a bad movie by any means.
Yeah.
It is going to be interesting to watch the third one again because again, I really don't remember it very well. So, it'll be interesting to see how that works. And again, I really have to find the extended edition. So, like, I knew I had extended edition like DVDs, but I can't find them, and all I could find was an extended edition Blu-rays, which doesn't help me right now. So,
No.
I might just have to look harder because I'm like, I know for a fact we had extended edition DVDs. I'm just wondering if we got rid of them because we're like, oh, we have the extended edition Blu-rays now. Why do we need the regular DVDs? So I don't know. I'm gonna look a bit more, but ugh.
I mean, worst case, we can try to look up the extra scenes on YouTube, maybe.
Or we can see if they probably have something that you can connect to your laptop for Blu-ray, right?
Possibly?
I don't know.
I'm sure there is, but
Eh.
People.
he's just like not worth it.
But yeah, I mean, if you were ever interested in these movies and you hadn't seen them for whatever reason, I mean, there's no reason not to. I don't know.
Yeah. Though there are some other movies during this year
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah,
that
this year.
we rather not ever see ever again.
The recap.
Yes, so it seems like we watched.
Start on an interesting
It
note.
seems like we watched these like so long ago, even though it's like it wasn't that long ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, first we had Snow Dogs. I like don't even remember what happened in this movie.
I just remember being very sad.
It was just pretty dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I just remember being like, I was dumb. Okay, whatever, move on. Like,
Yeah.
didn't care.
Same with the next movie, really.
Return to Neverland was definitely better. It
But
wasn't like
it was-
great by any means, but it was
Yeah.
definitely
It was-
better. It was.
It was like better in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 10 or so minutes, and then after that, it was like, no, come back, Jane.
Basically.
Yeah. So it was. I don't know. I was tolerable at least. I guess. I don't know.
It was more tolerable, but also forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Like again, thinking now, like what actually happened to that movie, I don't really remember. So yeah.
And then you get Ice Age.
Ice Age, still enjoyable. I'm glad I still ended up
Yes.
liking that movie because I was worried that by watching it again I might like not like it, but no.
No, there are definitely some very poignant scenes still in that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I like the cave painting scene.
Yeah. I'd like
Then you know kids can't talk.
I'd like forgotten that scene until like it started playing and I was like, oh, alright. So yeah, but and then there was the movie that you two could relate to and that I couldn't. So
Sorry.
the not white person movie. But
That was at least a nice surprise for us.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise.
and again,
for
I
us.
didn't hate it. It was just kind of So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
if anything, probably the Spider-Man was, even though Spider-Man wasn't a bad movie, it was just kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We thought
it
it'd be
wasn't as
better.
good as I remembered it being.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's not really too much to say. I am kind of curious about like Spider-Man 2 because
Oh.
I have in general heard that like most people think that's better.
Mhm.
So I'd be curious to see how the second one works. And the few small things I do know about the second one are interesting. So
Okay.
that's something. There's Minority Report, which is a very solid movie
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the intrigue and the stuff. I don't know. We're so tired. Oh my god.
I can't really think straight at the
I
moment.
know.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Men in Black was funny.
Yes, Men in Black was a joy as per usual.
Yeah. Didn't we say we liked it a little bit more?
Yeah,
I think.
I think so.
I don't know. Why do I feel like this has been like so long since we watched these?
It has felt like a long time, but
Oh,
it
wow.
probably
hasn't
has.
been that long. That's so weird.
It's the skew of time passing.
Yes. And then there were the dumbest aliens of all time.
We're
Sign.
weak to water and we hate wood.
Yes.
And yet we landed on a planet that's mostly composed of water.
Yeah, and filled
and
with trees.
and the rest that's not water is full of wood. Did their scouts just like initially like land in the middle of the Sahara and be like, okay, this planet's fine, and then they'll like come
Yeah, I
back?
guess.
Yeah, I think that was what happened probably.
Oh, I didn't mention this in the review because we didn't like watch NC's review after that. But if you guys are familiar with the Nostalgia Critics review of Signs, the part where the two aliens are supposedly talking to each other, I thought that was actually in the movie.
Oh my god.
But that was actually just Doug Walker and like I guess his brother just doing weird noises.
No, it was weird because again, that was the first time I'd seen this scene, so it like was kind of weird watching it without the voices.
Yeah, it was, and I was like, "Where are the voices?" Is this part with the wood
Oh my god.
and the two aliens arguing about the wood?
It reminds me of like when we saw Twister and there was like that explosion that we thought was like added in post in for Doug's review. Where it was like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
that explosion was actually in the movie. Oop, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We've come a long way since then.
Then there's the very
Oh yeah, speaking of Twister, Sweet Home Alabama.
This movie should have had a Twister destroy it. Welcome back to the South. We get tornadoes, bitch. Bye.
oh my god.
Yeah, this movie sucked.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Definitely the worst of the year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see, what would be like the second worst? Probably
Snow dogs?
Snow Dogs, or I don't know. Yeah. Signs is at least like funny at parts.
In the beginning.
Yeah, but Snow Dogs was like totally lame. But yeah, Sweet Home, definitely the worst one. Such like a terrible message that like didn't need to be terrible.
Yeah, I know, right?
Stupid. Anyway,
The Ring.
The Ring,
Oh man,
my
oh
favorite
gosh.
movie.
Oh my god, my flashbacks.
Valen, I think we forgot to watch it. I think we have to watch it again.
Yeah,
Like the-
you know, we
Like
just
the night we watched it, I was afraid I'd get nightmares about that movie.
did
I
you?
think we have to watch it. Actually, we forgot to watch it. We have to do it after this review, evidently.
Yeah. See, we just
I did-
watched The Lord of the Rings. Now I have to see where we
Yeah.
got the ring from, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's where it came from. I didn't get any nightmares though, so
Okay.
not yet at least.
Not yet.
Oh boy.
So, and then again, like last year, ending the year on Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think we basically felt the same about both of them, where like we think they're both good, but we think the first one was slightly better.
Yeah.
So that's something. But yeah, I don't know. There's not too much else to talk
Evidently,
about.
we're very slimy.
Yeah. I mean, overall this year was pretty good.
I think so,
Even
yeah.
the ones that we thought were kind of were, you know, they were right? They weren't bad.
Yeah, they weren't like awful.
I mean, there was no Sora treatment.
Yeah, Sweet Home Alabama was definitely bad. Snow Dogs was just kind of like forgettable and lame. But like besides that, everything was at least kind of like
Passable.
yeah. or had passable like things in it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely wasn't like as bad as some of the others, but
Like some of the 90s.
Yeah. But you know, I'd say like middle, slightly higher than middle, maybe to average everything. I don't know. It's hard to
I think
say
so.
because a lot of the stuff like kind of in the first half of the year was just kind of like in the middle, so it's hard to judge that compared to like I don't know, something like I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think you get what I mean. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, solid, decent year. Not the best, but still pretty good.
Not the worst.
Not the worst so
Definitely
far.
not the worst. Next year, I
Me.
don't know how next year's gonna go.
Looks
There's-
like it'll be a mixed bag.
There's definitely several things that stand out as worrisome,
Yeah.
and
There's
there really aren't many things that also stand out as like positives. There's really only 2, maybe 3.
3. I would say maybe 3.
I think 3.
I'll say there's
Yeah.
2 that are definite positives, and there's other 2 that average out to be 1 positive, from what I understand. But even then, we have something that I'm really not looking forward to seeing, and actually 2 of those. And then something else which I have like no idea how that's gonna go, but probably bad. And then there's like this and this and this,
Yeah.
which I have like no idea how that's gonna work. So, I mean, considering that, you know, so
Might be going back to 90s territory,
maybe, hopefully not.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
You can hope for the best.
yeah, but we should expect the worst. On that happy note,
Good night and goodbye.
yeah, we
but
need
see
to
you
sleep.
in 2003.